I call the select board meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Today is Monday, July 20th. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
No.
Anyone online interested in public comment? Okay, moving along. Do we have any documents to sign?
I make a motion we approve the July 6, 2026 meeting minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that is 4-0-0. No other items to sign tonight, do we?
There's other items to sign, but not vote on.
Okay. All right, any additions to the agenda? Okay, moving right along. We have appointments tonight. So we have Kevin Williams and other members of the Water District here to talk to us about the Water District. I haven't had the chance to meet any of you before, so I'm really glad that you're here. I'm Whitney Kuhnlin. It's nice to meet you. I think you've met several other people from the board, but if you'd like to all introduce yourselves, I know we have some questions, and I'd love for you just to also tell us about the Water District in general.
Kevin Williams, I'm the superintendent of the Belchertown Water District.
Gary Brown, the chairman of the district.
Ted Bach, commissioner.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
There is one third commissioner who's not present tonight. We have 8 full-time superintendent and 3 elected commissioners.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I know that I would love for you just to overview in general what the Water District is, the fact that it is a separate entity. I think not everyone knows that. And then if we could talk a little bit too about droughts and what makes something a drought, who identifies what a drought is, and I'm sure we'll have some questions too.
Oh, initially the district was created in 1928, I believe, was the official legislative act, and I may be off a year or two. I didn't know you were going to ask that question. And there's actually a physical boundary on all sides of what was included in the original creation of the district. The district is governed by a set of bylaws that's maintained by the residents of the district, much the same as the town bylaws. They have to be changed at official meetings. And per the bylaws, the district can sell water outside of the district, but technically cannot spend money outside of the district, like to extend or improve the district. Now, that was an old bylaw that's been kind of overlooked a number of times. In the case of the schools, for example, the Chestnut Hill School was originally connected to the state school water system when it was built, and that system was very unreliable and very poor quality water. And after 1995, after multiple outages, I was at DPW. Superintendent Byard and I talked, and he said, "We've got to do something." I said, "If you fund the money for the pipe, I'll have the DPW install it." And we did. We extended the line from Statler Street all the way down to Chestnut Hill School. The new high school, for example, is outside of the district.
Oh, okay.
Technically, the Belchertown State School property is outside of the district. So operating within the confines of the bylaws that we have and being flexible and recognizing the town's development needs, we try to work with the town to improve wherever we can and promote that development.
Thank you. And also just this shows my own naivete about districts. Water districts are typically for town-sourced water. That doesn't necessarily include private wells.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
What do we have, 1,650 or so connections?
1378.
Total connections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all the development that's going on in town, I don't know if you've been on Cold Spring Road or Jensen Road, those new homes are all on private water.
Okay, thank you.
All of Dana Woods, Hickory Hills across the street, that's all on public water.
Yeah, thank you.
So the district boundaries roughly to the north would be Allen Road. And cutting over Allen Road to the railroad tracks. following the railroad tracks south, right around Jabez Brook Middle School, and then cutting over to Aldrich Road, give or take, down Jensen, and then Jabez Brook up Route 202 back to Allen Road. So that's the original
Oh, that's interesting.
boundaries of the water district.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions specific about the water district?
Just that you brought up the district, can it ever be expanded, or is that just like legislative?
It has to go through legislative
Okay.
action, yeah. So that's a toss-up. We can control what happens outside the water district more if it stays outside the water district. The more we expand our boundaries, the more we're required to provide. That just opens up a lot of different things.
Because then there's more oversight and regulation.
Right,
That
right.
makes sense. Okay, thank you.
So it had been suggested several times, why not extend the district to the bounds of the town? There probably wasn't justification for that, nor did the district have the supply of water
Right.
to do that. And the cost, I mean, to try and bring water service from one end of town to the other, you're talking millions of dollars. And so the original water district had one source on Jabez Street where there are still currently active wells. But way back, late 80s, early 90s, the town and the district worked collaboratively to develop another source in the north end of town, recognized as the Daigle well. I think the reason why there was some collaboration between the town and the district was because the town was eligible for a rural community economic development grant the district wasn't eligible for. So working collaboratively, the town and the district developed the Daigle well and extended the main from where it was originally terminated on Bay Road all the way down Bay Road, Metacomet Street, off Federal Street to the Daigle well. And that brought on a number of users. And then I don't think anybody in this room, maybe Steve, remembers when there was a contamination in the Bay Road area with the Belchertown carriers was accused of dumping trichloroethylene on the ground, and it contaminated all the wells in the vicinity of Lake Metacomet. So that was one of the real reasons why the town and the district pushed to extend the district, because no one down there had clean water in those existing homes, and that was the only way to do that.
Wow.
So all of the mechanics of that deal, I lived in Belchertown at the time. I wasn't involved in it. I think anybody who was involved in that initial push to bring the Daigle well online and everything is no longer with us today. So the town technically owns that well, and the district operates it through with a user agreement.
Can you tell me, we only have a handful of wells, right? What are the main wells? Can you tell me the names and where they are?
We have 4 wells at Jabez Street, so just Jabez Street wells 1 through 4, and then the Daigle well. So we have 5
Oh, okay.
wells.
Okay.
So we only have wells in 2 locations?
Correct.
Okay.
There are other utilities that have wells in Belchertown. Amherst has one on the north end of the aquifer that we have the Daigle well on.
All right.
Bondsville has one in the south end of town on River Street and Barville Street, right next to Jabez Brook. There are many places in Belchertown where there's very desirable and large quantities of water with outside utilization.
And to be clear, those towns own that. There's no taking that back from them, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and it should also be pointed out that they do serve Belchertown residents
Okay.
Those wells.
in those areas,
Okay.
yes. They don't serve any municipal facilities, so I think oftentimes they fall off the radar. But they do serve our residents, so if they have droughts or issues with their wells, it should be on our radar as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If anyone has any other questions, I'd like to know a little bit more about withdrawal permits and how does that all relate to these wells?
Quite extensively.
How much time do we have?
It governs everything that we can and can't do with the wells and the water. Based off of a few different aspects. the capacity of the wells that we had to prove when we built the wells. They're based off of our current and future needs. That's loosely. They're trying to take that away. And based on our performance. So they look at our lost water and our gallon per capita per day per person, those kind of things.
And they is who?
DEP and DCR have, hand in hand on that.
Interesting.
So with all of that, they, we prove an amount that we say we need. They can approve it or deny it, and then, work it back and forth a little bit. And then we have to stay under those numbers. If we go over those numbers, performance numbers and the withdrawal permit numbers, they want to know why. And if we don't have a good explanation, good reasoning, proof of what's going on, the basic requirement is we bring in a third party to investigate.
Okay.
So they want, a full leak detection program. They want, all of those things. They, they're going to go through our books, our record keeping, all of it. So.
Could there be fines associated with that if we
Yes.
can't?
Yep. Yep. So that's one of the issues is if we are approaching our withdrawal permit, we need to start looking at getting it expanded before we go over. Once we go over, it's a game changer. So, it's easier to ask them beforehand for the money or for the withdrawal amounts than it is after. So
Interesting.
it goes from an ask to a we're defending ourselves
Right.
situation.
Right.
So did you say that they're looking to lower the permit on
Correct.
us? So what's their reasoning for that?
According to DEP and DCR, they're not letting people bank water anymore. So we had room in our withdrawal permit for these projects that we were anticipating. The last review started in 2016, and it took till last year to actually, for the DEP to do their side of it and come in. So when we got that review, they wanted to pull away approximately 80,000 gallons a day, which is pretty much what we had been banking on for the project at the state school.
Right.
So along with that, in that time frame, a lot of the subdivisions got built out. Dana Woods got built out, Summer Hill got built out, so our numbers are climbing. And then, in the winter months, we're still in good shape, but it's the summer months that, where the withdrawals increase. Naturally, that, we're in danger of a withdrawal permit. So we had set aside money for well studies that we've been working on a new location, and we had money set aside to increase the withdrawal permit, and all of that budget money got spent last year just defending our withdrawal permit. So the good news is they're letting us keep most of the amount. You have to give a little bit.
Yeah.
Both sides had to give a little bit. So we went from 410,000 gallons a day down to 400,000 gallons a day. So not a big loss, but it was an extensive project to get them to approve it, them being DCR. So DCR approved it. It's gone to DEP. It's up for review with DEP. We're hoping a few months, but we submitted our side of it with the engineers in November. So it's taken that long for it to get to review. But we're hopeful that it will pass through.
And I'm sorry, what was the time period for 400,000 gallons? How much time?
Per day.
Per day. It's amazing.
So you said that you had money budgeted aside for future studies.
Right.
But we spent that money defending ourselves against the DEP. Are we talking about legal costs?
Mostly engineering costs to
For the studies.
file the studies for the withdrawal permit.
John and Jen, do you have any questions? John, you want to go?
Well, we heard a lot of
Yeah.
information already.
I just want to
Right.
thank you, Gary and Kevin, for coming out on July 14th with our state legislative and the schools, and Eric's back there, and Steve was there, and gave a good, and the DPW was there to give a quick overview of what's going on. If you could just recap why we can't water the fields for the public, just a quick why. It's not about, it's the drought, you don't set the standard, but the state does kind of.
Right,
So it's
right.
not the town, it's not, just so we
Right.
can all be on the
Yeah,
same
actually,
page.
if you wouldn't
It's-
mind explaining the drought,
Sure.
exactly.
Right.
what's the
Sorry.
drought. Who
The,
decides there's a drought?
So that's part of the withdrawal permit.
Okay.
So there's criteria in the withdrawal permit that, you know, we have to follow the state drought conditions, you know, from EPA. You know, I think there's 5 stages of that. We're at a stage 2 right now, which mandates, you know, no outside watering.
And stage 1 is the worst drought.
Stage 1 is not so bad.
Oh,
Stage
okay.
5 is,
Stage 5 is
yeah,
terrible
you're
situation.
in big trouble.
Okay.
So we have to follow the recommendations with the drought monitor. We also have a stream flow monitor. We are currently based off of the Quabog River. So different times of the year, there's different gallons, cubic feet per second that go through the gauge. I think there's 3 different seasons that we have to follow with that. The June season is, I think, 67 cubic feet per minute. And I checked this morning and it was at 43. So that's one of the things that we have to check. So there's 2 criteria there. And then we monitor the wells and the situations ourselves. If the wells are being depleted, then, you know, it's water bans. So aside from the state, if we're looking at what we have and it's being depleted, you know, the commissioners have the right to do that.
Okay.
You know, there's operational reasons. Most of the time it's, you know, now it's the state. So if we're getting close to our withdrawal permit, that's another big one. And that's what the state wants to see. They want to tighten up on our numbers, and then they want us to have withdrawal or water bans more frequently. Not sure how much
think
more
you
I
hit it.
said at the meeting, but those are the criteria. So the schools, those fields are a little different. So no watering through all of the water district. First thought is, you know, the town needs to lead by example. So, you know, we always call the town first, you know, do what you can, slow down. This year is a little different, that the field in question is in really poor shape. You know, we established that at the meeting. So the school irrigation system uses 34,000 gallons a day when it runs. Quick math, that's like 680 gallons. 680 people for 50 gallons a day, which is the
Right.
Belchertown standard. So, you know, right off the bat, that sounds good. But throwing water at that field isn't going to save that field. So that was the decision to mandate, you know, we're not going to let that happen. It's just a waste of resource at this point. So, and they're working on their wells, and there's some things going on there. So hopefully, you know, they can continue in the fall. With that,
And when new wells are drilled, does that change our permit?
if they're not connected to the water district, no.
No. Got it.
So private wells within the district, we have no say over those.
Right, so that's a different question of us looking at bringing another well in the district. It's a different question than a private well. for
Right.
The fields.
Right.
And high school's on private well, right?
It's outside of the water district.
The high school itself is on the water district.
Oh, it is.
The field though?
The field that they're working on, they're trying to get it on a private well.
What is it on now?
It's on the town water.
Okay.
Right.
I wrote down that you said that the high school was outside of the district.
It is,
It is, okay,
right. But it's served by the district.
but it's served by the district.
So there's been a lot of talk about developing another well. My understanding, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would allow him to try to manage the water tables better during a drought situation, which could allow for some irrigation. As Kevin stated, they've been watching the water levels in those wells, and it was dropping or barely holding its own, and that's where the decision to shut everybody off came from. If there was another aquifer somewhere that was being tapped, that would give them another opportunity to draw from a different source and maybe let the others recover, and it could help with that a little bit. But they don't have that right now. There's been a lot of talk about that. I know Gary has some sites in mind. I've also offered up the parcel behind Anytime Fitness to maybe look at that. So that's something that I think 5 to 10 years is probably what we're looking at. Kevin and I have been working with Aaron Saunders. There is some money that's in the environmental bond bill that could be put towards studying the development of a well. So that's also a prospect. But right now, you know, we're kind of in a holding pattern on this, and the water district's doing everything they can. I know Kevin spent a lot of time on this, and you know, we'll see what we can do. But even if there was another well, they would still have to go back to the DEP to request additional water into permit. So that's where the two things kind of diverge a little bit.
All right. It'll increase capacity, but it doesn't necessarily increase our permit.
Just to add some more color, because I went to that Quabbin meeting where all the watershed communities came together to talk about issues related to the Quabbin and the drought and across the state. And one of the things that the folks in the watershed communities were bringing up is that there's no restrictions on the Quabbin water. We're not connected to the Quabbin. It's just in general. And they're not restricting the communities that are on the eastern side of the state and making them conserve the resource that we have in our backyard. Just to add more color to this conversation. It's just like, it's a statewide issue with the drought and everything.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any more questions?
I just want one more question. We talked about economic development and developing our former state school land. How does that affect our development process a little bit? So I know we talked about it in the meeting. I just want the public to know a little bit more about it.
So that 80,000 gallons a day that I keep referring to, that's kind of what's left in our permit that, you know, when we approved, the district commissioners, wasn't me, approved the water use for the housing project that was going to go in phase one. That's why we were able to approve that. And that's why we drew the line there and said this is just for phase one. We may or may not have the water for another phase. You know, if we can control that and split it up between the phases, that would be a whole lot better. But right now, that's pretty much our limit for those projects.
Okay, so I have a question. Just form it in my head. So you're saying that we have the water right now to fund phase one of Carriage Grove, but possibly nothing else?
Correct.
Are we permitted to redirect that water out into the existing community away from Carriage Grove if needed?
Yes.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
plainly
that-
speaking, not send it to the new housing development.
Right. If that project was to fall apart, then I would agree with that statement.
So, does the project have to fall apart, or can you put the restriction on it?
Does our approval expire?
Well, in my opinion, first come, first served.
Right.
You know, is there a project at the former Belchertown State School site or not? We've been hearing about how many projects, and I haven't heard any recent development, or I haven't seen any heavy equipment moved in. Are we talking 10 years before they break ground, or are we talking 5 years that is ever going to happen?
Okay, so one more question. On first come, first serve, do we not have a need right now that is so dire that trumps Carriage Grove?
If there was an opportunity for growth somewhere else in town or at the state school site to use the water, and we had the water available, I would say, let's hook up. If Carriage Grove, if Risa or whomever ever decided to break ground. You know, one of the frustrations that I had was we had a permit to extract X number of gallons per day or per month out of available wells, and we have the resource. Working through the renewal process, it wasn't as much DEP that was causing the problems, it was DCR. And I don't know why DCR has such leverage on withdrawal. It's not necessarily at the Jacob Street well, it's the aquifer in the north end of town. And through that process, which took months and cost us thousands of dollars with consultants working with Kevin and myself and Mass Water Resources and so forth, I argued, I said, Belchertown is a development community, and MassDevelopment has spent millions of dollars remediating the former Belchertown State School site. Now they're telling us that all the money was for no good use because we can't give anybody water to redevelop that site after all this time and all this money. So my point is that there are many people overseeing withdrawal of water from the ground. If we got to the point where we were dangerously close to our ceiling, I would not hesitate to go the legislative route and say, look, you know, we have an opportunity here to grow the tax base in Belchertown, and we need more water. We have the water. Let's stop with the games and say, okay, if you need 20,000 or 30,000.
Yeah.
So we were able to recover. Initially, they were going to take, what, 80,000? And in the end, we wound up losing 10,000. But that's still a 70,000 gallon per day cut.
Yeah.
Now that we're through that and the permit is almost finalized, it's out for review, you know, I fully intend to start moving forward again with trying to identify another source. And in conjunction with that, trying to work towards expanding our permit, because I know the town is gonna need the water. You know, I use Springfield, for example. I said, what do you think Dominic Sarno would say if somebody told him he couldn't build another casino?
Yeah.
Or all that riverfront property down on Columbus Avenue that's being redeveloped. Sorry, you can't have any more development because you don't have the water, or you can't take any more water. You know, that wouldn't pass muster in Springfield.
Yeah.
So we understand what the town's needs are, and we were looking towards, you know, kind of looking around the curve, thinking how we were gonna position ourselves for if RISA came or whatever happened at the former site, to redevelop all that land that's been remediated. If it was 100,000 gallons, we wanted to be positioned to provide that. It was a shocker to go through what we had to do, but as I said, we fully intend to move forward now with trying to follow up on the sites that we had previously flagged as potential. It's quite a protracted process. You don't just develop a well like you do for residential. You have to identify the site, you have to have access, you have to have a right of entry, you develop a test well. If you get a well in the ground, then they start doing pump testing over 24 hours to see how sustainable the source is. You might get 20 gallons a minute the first hour, and then it may drop down to 5 gallons a minute over 4 or 5 hours, and that's not a good source.
Right.
And then there's the water quality standards, and all of that goes with it. So it's a pretty complicated and time-consuming process, and we intend to follow back up on that now that we've got our permit back in hand, only having lost 10,000 gallons. Yeah, and this drought it's concerning. I think the Quabbin is down 18 feet.
Wow.
I remember 1968 when it was down 28 feet, and all the experts said it was never going to recover, and it did. But there was an attempt then to redirect the outfall from Northfield Mountain, the power station, to the Quabbin, and the Fishermen's Association fought it aggressively, fearing that the lamprey eels would find their way in, and it recovered. But it's concerning. I walk a lot, and I walked over there last week several days, and there are currently 8 blocks behind the spillway that are exposed. And one of the employees of the DCR that works at the fish hatchery said it's 18 feet. South Hadley, that little reservoir, before you get to the intersection of 116, I've never seen it so dry. The Connecticut River, I mean, everywhere you look. And like Kevin says, our gauging station is the Quabog River over in Warren or Hardwick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not in
You know, we
Belchertown.
kind of laugh about that
Yeah.
sometimes
But,
because, but that's what DEP uses as the benchmark for the Belchertown drought condition. But I don't know when this drought or this outdoor watering ban is gonna be lifted.
Right.
If we don't start to see some recovery in the surface water, this may go into next year.
And it's been on active since September, so it went through the winter, but there's no reason to enforce it in the winter because there's nothing, nobody's doing anything.
Right.
The other thing that we didn't mention in all this discussion, and the water district's self-sufficient based on the users, the user rates. You know, we try to balance it and keep the user rates low, and still maintain a budget. So something like a water ban like this, it hurts our budget flat out. You know, we don't want to do it. We're going to pay for it next year when it's budget time. But it's mandatory. We need to protect the resource, and we need to do what the state says.
That's an interesting point. John, did you have something else?
Well, the last thing I have is let us know how we can help you, so we can help the town. I
What's
mean, we're
that?
here, how we can help you, like how can the
Right.
select board or the town help the water district so we can work together. I know we're working with the state legislative, but let us know on the funding and stuff so we can work through our legislative to help with that cost.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind.
Can you make it rain?
I don't know, they're supposed to have chemtrails now for that stuff, conspiracy theories.
So I know this might not be a water district thing, but I know we have people listening who have a concern about the fields. I know Eric is in the room, Brian, Cameron might be online. Is there anything that we can share regarding status of the fields for those listening?
I think the school committee's having a meeting on August 4th to talk about it. I don't know if Eric can
Okay.
chair, if you'd recognize
Are
Eric
we
about.
preempting you?
Eric, if you
Yeah,
want
so, we're currently, one well pump has been set in well number 1. And so we're currently able to water with, one of the residential style,
Eric, if you don't mind
Thank
describing.
So, we're able to do that, we're able to fill our portable water trailer, which we can tow around, and we can, water the fields that way. Luckily, we've had some, a few decent rainfalls over the past couple of months. Not enough to eliminate the drought, but it's helped, the fields are green.
How has the well been holding up? We talked about pump tests and things.
Yeah, so we've had 24-hour pump tests scheduled to happen, but the well, it's been producing for what we need, just for the stadium fields. We're not using it on the other fields, just the stadium field at the moment.
So all fields are in use as of right now?
Oh, no, just the baseball and softball fields are used during the summer. The other 3 fields are not being used.
Okay,
But we're actively watering them.
okay, all right, great.
And the plan is they will be in use in the fall.
The school committee has to meet on August 4th.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to comment on what.
Sure.
Sorry.
That's, to, you know, not to be corny, but that's literally going to be a game time decision.
That was a good pun, but
It
yes.
really depends on the conditions of the field at the
Yeah.
time.
And historically, because, I mean, I see water ban signs almost every year, I feel like. When do they historically, when do the levels come back historically? What month? Is it September?
Yeah, usually by October, we're getting the fall rains, you know, late September. Like I said, last year, that's when we kicked it off, the state mandates, so
Yeah.
hopefully.
And I
the
know
best.
rain's the greatest solution, but is there anything that individual residents can do to help?
Do what they can to conserve.
Yeah.
You know, we do get a lot of calls. We get calls daily on people that are watering. We do the best we can to try to
Right.
convince everybody that it's a bad idea. And, you know, we have provisions for termination of water service if you're watering, but we don't want to do that.
Right.
It's an inconvenience for everybody.
Yes, Steve?
So I also want to mention that we do have an irrigation well. So when we talk about private wells, you know, sometimes we're talking about private homeowners, but the town does have an irrigation well at the football field at Chestnut Hill Community School. And I know that, you know, we should probably try to be, you know, setting the example, but we have been irrigating that field. They're not connected to the district. It doesn't affect the district's wells. And we're trying to keep that field in playable shape in case the one at the high school can't be used. The kids can still play here in Belchertown. They
Right.
don't have to move.
Okay.
So there has been some concern. Some people think that that's tied to the water district and that we're abusing our ability to irrigate, and that's not the case. That is a separate irrigation well.
Okay.
Which is what Eric is attempting to do at the high school for his fields.
Got it. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and the brewery too. We get a lot of calls on the brewery. They put in their own irrigation well. And that area's got a lot of water, and it will not affect our wells you know, on the other side of the hill.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
it's a good place.
Well, if no one has any other questions, I really do appreciate you coming in. It's something we always talk about the water district and the entity that exists. And now it's nice to have faces also and to understand it a little better. So I do appreciate it. Can people reach out to you if they have questions?
My door is always open, you know, daily, weekly, whatever. We have a commissioners meeting the third Tuesday of the month,
Okay.
if anybody ever wants to attend.
They're public meetings, the third
Yes.
Tuesday of the month? Okay.
Yep.
We don't have a liaison for that, right? Because it's a
We don't.
separate entity.
Right, right.
Okay.
Oh,
You know, that's kind of a new thing.
yeah.
You know, we always had somebody here that was associated with us, with Gary or Steve or
Oh, okay.
something,
Would
It'd be
you
nice
like
to
that?
It doesn't much matter.
Okay.
Like I
It'd
said,
be good
you know,
for town
emails are
people.
fine. Like I said, my door's always open. If you want to come down and see what we do, you're all welcome.
All right, I appreciate that. Is it in the evening? Third Tuesday of the month,
Yes,
evening time? Okay.
In this building?
it's at our office,
Mm-hmm.
206 Javish.
Okay. There you go. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you all coming here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Night. All right, next we have a presentation and update from the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust. Is that right? Danielle Chaplick, did I say that correctly? Is online, I believe?
Yes.
Hi, Danielle, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Can you hear me?
We can
Yes.
hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
Hello,
good.
everyone.
Did I pronounce your name correctly? Is it
My
Chaplick?
colleague is also joining me, Mariana Gill. Mariana, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi there.
And is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, I just sent you a presenter status. I think you should be. Yep, there we go.
Are you able to see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Danielle, we can barely hear you.
Oh, I'm not sure what's happening to my computer. Okay, is that any better?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. The premise of HILB Group coming on is to provide an update of the state of the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust. So for those of you who are not aware, HILB Group started to work with the trust back in the end of November through a procurement process where the trust brought on a health benefits consultant. As you may know, the trust historically had not worked with a consultant in the past. Previously, the executive director, Joe Shea, was really the primary point of contact for the trust and the administration of benefits. So needless to say, I think this board is aware that, you know, the trust certainly in fiscal year 2026 experienced some notable financial difficulties, if you will. So at the point that our team assumed the responsibility of the group, we were certainly hard pressed to really try and help course correct the trust and financially stabilize the situation, which that's really what our team has been focused on. So just as a matter of background as well, I'm not sure if anyone has been tuning into the IAC meetings, but we do have a pretty extensive team that has been working to stabilize the trust, including a team of underwriters, actuaries, and data analytics folks, aside from Mariana and myself and our other colleague, Sue Shalou, who is another senior consultant. So we've had really all hands on deck. And so what we really want to talk about is the strategies that we've employed high level since November to sort of get us to this point in FY27 and what our vision aspirationally, high levelly will be going forward to give the Board of Selectmen an idea of, you know, sort of our strategies to continue that stabilization to hopefully avoid any years in the future that were experienced in FY26 with the double-digit rate increases that ensued. So before I get into these pillars here, I think there's three things to keep in mind that led to the situation, at least from our perspective, of the financial instability that was experienced in FY26. The first being overall increases in healthcare spending and costs, which has effectively impacted almost all employers, whether it be public or private sector in the Commonwealth and even beyond the purview of Massachusetts. So all employers, especially municipalities, are struggling with costs. And then the second consideration that led to the double-digit increases in FY26 had to do with the GLP-1 utilization that this group experienced, not unlikely to any neighboring municipalities and other employers, many of whom have experienced the same kind of impacts with those GLP-1 medications. In this case, there were, out of 12,000 members, maybe a few hundred using GLP-1s for weight loss, and that was effectively in 2026 accounting for approximately 30% of the entire pharmacy costs for the group. So back in October, under the former leadership, the decision to eliminate GLP-1s for weight loss was rendered in October. But that was significant in terms of the impacts of why and how that the GLP-1 utilization influenced costs. And then the third aspect to keep in mind of what led us to this situation of financial hardship are past years, and essentially from our perspective, the rates not necessarily being properly funded. So meaning that the plans were in turn not funded properly over a number of years, which accumulated also as a contributing factor in FY26. So this is how we tackled the situation coming in. We essentially started with looking at the benefits administration. So we put out a procurement that evaluated both national and regional carriers and essentially their fees and networks. And that's something that we are going to continue to look at every couple of years. As mentioned, pharmacy was a huge piece for this group in contributing to the high costs for members and member units. So we were able to look at other ways that we could purchase high-cost medications outside the GLP-1s. There are a number of other medications at hand that are very expensive. And we also wanted to look at how the group was purchasing its medications through certain contractual terms. So this is something that we are going to actually look at year to year because pharmacy is changing so rapidly. And there will surely be another iteration of GLP-1 like medications in the future that we really want to stay ahead of. And going forward, and we haven't necessarily had a chance to really delve into this aspect, but the management more directly of high cost claims. So we know that conditions related to cancer, for example, and behavioral health, musculoskeletal and diabetes are among high cost drivers for the group, which are causing fluctuations in claims, which some of this is somewhat standard, but we want to see going forward, what can we do to sort of manage those programs directly, and whether that means implementing certain adherence, population health, or prevention type programs that will really help stabilize the group in the long run and really help sort of get ahead of the sort of general phenomenon of the rising costs in the marketplace. And then another area that we've really been focusing on is operational improvements. So our group meets directly with the trust every single week to talk about different policies and procedures and different ways that we can improve both operational efficiencies and ultimately, hopefully, make some enhancements for member groups as well. And then the last piece is related to the member education initiatives. We have certainly extended ourselves, which is obviously true for Belchertown, as a resource for member units. and anything that we can do to help educate members, employees, and retirees about costs and, you know, different ways to maximize their health plans, we really want to do so. And then here we wanted to talk about our achievements in the short term, you know, knowing that we've been on for, I think, 6 or 7 months so far. So certainly we feel that we have a lot more work to achieve, but we have achieved stabilization. And we did so through the carrier evaluation that we did and securing stronger contract terms with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We effectively changed the strategy of how we purchase and administer the group's pharmacy program through moving to an employer coalition through Employers Health, which essentially means that we were able to provide CVS Caremark and the same formulary with little to no disruption for members. But we were also able to achieve some meaningful savings of conservatively just by doing that, switching the way that we are administering the pharmacy benefit, that alone saving approximately $3.5 million. And that's really through better contract terms and better rebates. And then, as you may know, we also worked to implement some plan design adjustments. We implemented a $250 and $500 deductible and some changes to certain co-payments, really to align the plans more closely with industry benchmarks. And as a result of these steps, our rate adjustments for FY27 accumulated to 12.48%. And then in addition to these efforts, we also recently looked at the stop loss program, which I'm going to ask Mariana to provide an overview. And I know one of the questions that has come up from this Board of Selectmen before is related to the aggregate stop loss insurance, which is a topic that we actually just reviewed with the IAC and wanted to also incorporate this into our presentation today as well.
Thank you, Danielle. So I'm just going to start off with just some general education about what stop loss is and why Hampshire County carries it. So while Hampshire County is self-funded with its medical and prescription drug benefits, meaning that the trust takes on 100% of the risk, they pay the actual claims, not a set premium to the carrier each month. Stop loss insurance is really important because it limits the trust's financial exposure to unexpected, really catastrophic large claims. And there are generally two kinds. One is the specific stop loss, which protects against any single high cost member. And that's what Hampshire County has today, meaning Hampshire County pays up to a set deductible per person, which right now is set at $400,000. Anything that exceeds it, the carrier covers the rest. So it's any claims right now, it's what's called the 1224 policy, any claims incurred during the 12 months of the plan year, but paid either between the plan year or 12 months after, so 24 months of total runout, is reimbursed by the carrier. In addition, there is the option to have aggregate stop loss, which protects the whole group against claims exceeding a set level. So essentially a cap of total liability. That's not something that Hampshire County has today. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on a further slide, but really just want to get the point across that this is coverage that makes self-funding safe and feasible at the size that Hampshire County is. It is necessary to carry this type of insurance. It does help to sort of stabilize the finance and shield from catastrophic claims. If we were, 5-10 years ago, it would be relatively abnormal to think about having a $1 million plus claimant incurred. Now it's pretty normal. I have from a rolling 12 basis for Hampshire County, again, not the actual stop loss policy, but on a rolling 12 basis. Right now, Hampshire County has $727,000 of claims they've paid for a newborn and some cardiac malformations that the child had. Another one due to heart failure for a spouse dependent was almost $900,000 in a rolling 12 months.
Mariana,
so that just gives you...
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understood what you said. Did you say aggregate, you're saying that aggregate stop loss is unnecessary today or will be necessary today?
It's unnecessary, and I'm going to go in another slide explaining sort of why we determined it's not been a good fit for Hampshire County, and we don't believe it would be a good fit going forward.
Okay.
The other part that I wanted to cover is what's called lasers. So to understand part of what the decision was made for this year's stop loss procurement, which is something that's done every single year. The market does certainly change quite a bit. While there is a specific deductible for individuals, which for Hampshire County is $400,000, the carriers can also set lasers. So what that means is a carrier can single out a known high cost claimant and raise the deductible just for them. So generally, this is individuals that have ongoing care or medications that are reoccurring and not just a one-time event. They generally get singled out. So by way of example, for the FY26 policy with ULICO, the policy carried about $3.37 million in lasers. There's 4 of them in total, which added almost $1.8 million of liability on top of the base premium for Hampshire County. And it really was one of the biggest drivers of what was paid today. So one of the goals was potentially looking at eliminating that was there a more competitive offer in the market, removing those lasers, but still setting the premium appropriately. So with that, we took it out to the market and did an entire review. And one of the parts that came up was, is aggregate a fit? So again, it's an optional layer that caps the total exposure, but at the scale, the volume of lives that Hampshire County is, we don't believe it's something that's necessary. With over 3,000 subscribers, even after the departure of the 12-member units for July 1st, the claims experience is really predictable. So the odds of a group-wide breach are incredibly low. There's an additional premium that a carrier charges for that protection. But in my experience and working with our actuary, we've only seen one case in both of our careers where the aggregate specific was actually breached. It's very, very rare that this happens. So we generally believe that with such a large group being self-funded, it's better off to position yourself to absorb any residual risk through your own reserves than to take on and pay this additional insurance that the probability of actually breaching is very, very low.
Can I ask a question about that?
Absolutely.
So knowing that that HILB was not in place when to say that at the time that the reserves were so low that aggregate insurance would have been helpful, whereas today you're building up the reserves high enough that you feel comfortable not having it.
Not exactly. So the issue was that it was underfunded, the plan. Not necessarily the total amount of claims would have exceeded what the plan costs were. So in essence, there needed to be a higher total premium to fund the plan correctly, but the carrier would have calculated what that amount is, plus added quite a bit of additional fat to that calculation. So you wouldn't have hit it.
Okay.
Again, we can't say, for certain year after year, but it's not just having, extra knee surgery or anything like that. It's really having an incredibly large volume of very high cost claimants combined with really unprecedented utilization for the aggregate to be breached. And in prior years, while the plan may have been underfunded, it was not underfunded. That's not the equivalent of exceeding the aggregate in that calculation.
And I would just like to add that, obviously we can't opine on the Shea administration because we weren't there, right? But what we can say and what we put together back in December was a fiduciary report on the state of the trust from sort of auditing what we know. And one thing that we can say is that, as Mariana mentioned, really the crust of what led to the financial challenges were that the plans were not funded properly, correct? They were underfunded. The actual experience of the group, so the way the claims are fluctuating, right? It's actually been pretty stable and predictable, as Mariana has mentioned. And we've taken a look at that, which is fortunate that the group has had that stability. And I know that one of your questions has been, what is the impact of the 12 units that have left? And we have certainly considered that in the underwriting and looked at that subsequently once we knew that final list. And we can say that there was a pretty much even mix of high experience and good experience, where it essentially canceled each other out, and there should be no impact on the rates from those groups leaving.
And just to add to that, we also worked with Blue Cross Blue Shield and CVS to look at trends in the marketplace. So if we convert your claims to a PEPM, per employee per month basis, and compare that to a municipal benchmark, you were relatively in line, if not exceeding it. So again, your claims were not exceptionally higher than the market. It's just how much funding was coming in was not appropriate. Danielle, if you want to go to the last. Oh, thank you. So as we talked about, the prior administration and with HILB Group, we want to make sure that there is a stop loss procurement done every single year, and that's been the case so far. Historically, you've had a stop loss carrier called Amwins that they would do the broad marketplace review, so they continued to do that this year. In addition, HILB did approach Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is your medical carrier as well. So in totality, 14 carriers were approached, 4 quoted and 10 declined. And that's been really interesting because the market, it's sort of been shrinking. Less and less carriers want to be in the reinsurance business. And ultimately, they took a look at what Hampshire County's historical risk profile has been. And really, it came down to the incumbent and Blue Cross Blue Shield in terms of being competitive and evaluation. So with that, we wanted to evaluate, ultimately the contract structure, the laser positions, validate Hampshire County's risk profile. And what I mean by that is the $400,000 specific deductible appropriate? To do that, we reviewed the prior few years of claims experience, and had the deductible been set at a higher amount, would it have been more advantageous for Hampshire County or not? Ultimately, it was determined that it would not have been more advantageous. So there was a recommendation to stay at the same $400,000 specific level. And then with that, when the results were presented, ultimately the IAC awarded the FY27 stop loss contract to Blue Cross Blue Shield. The big thing here is it lowered the total cost of risk by about $1.23 million. And the reason is Blue Cross actually in their proposal eliminated any lasers. So it gave the same level of protection, but without that additional liability for those specific 4 individuals. It also, there was some fee relief by combining your stop loss with your medical carrier. And the other really important aspect here is faster reimbursement. So in a more traditional model where it's not the medical carrier that carries the stop loss, is somebody has to review the claims, submit when it does exceed the specific deductible. The carrier then reviews it, and then the employer gets the reimbursement. That can take anywhere from 3 to 9 months, just depending on how complicated the case is. With Blue Cross Blue Shield, because they are your medical carrier and they get a direct file feed for pharmacy, which needs a little less review because it's at the point of service that claim occurs, that reimbursement happens with the next invoice. So that's really important for financial stability, is that you're getting that reimbursement that's owed to you much quicker and there's not as much of a gap. So with that and the stronger renewal protections, they did include a 50% rate cap, which might seem really high. But again, if you were to have that one-off catastrophic year, we have clients that ultimately came back with 80 to 100% renewals from their incumbent. So it's not abnormal to get some really crazy numbers for that. So having a rate cap for the following year is another good layer of protection. So ultimately, that was the recommendation made to the IAC, and they did vote unanimously and awarded the business to Blue Cross Blue Shield for FY27.
So, in terms of the overall financial position, I mean, I think it's fair to say that, in our time here, we've been working at warp speed, really turning over every rock and squeezing every lemon that we can to, try to correct the situation that we inherited financially, because things were very tenuous month to month. Luckily, the claims stayed very stable during this time, or stable enough that the group really never went into any particular deficit between the time that we've been on and now. And I think, I've sort of outlined most of these things here, but as you can see, we went out to the market and did all the necessary due diligence on the health insurance carrier and network evaluation. We've done the same thing with stop loss. We have made very meaningful changes on the pharmacy. We continue to audit the operations and look at other avenues for benefits administration, including technology. Our goal this year going into FY28 is to really get into the claims and costs and see where we can make meaningful change in the long term, since right now we've been really focused on short term, trying to stabilize the group. And this is really where we are ending. We're ending the year and beginning FY27 in a balanced capacity, which is very good. Our ending balance in June was nearly $7 million, and we are setting the group up to start to build back its reserves at conservatively a little bit over $1 million. And we are hopeful that that will be more with some of the measures that we've taken in place, particularly on the pharmacy. And with that, I think we can take questions if you have any.
Thank you both very much. I know a couple questions have already been posed. Jen, do you have any questions for them? John, do you have any questions?
I just want to make sure you went away from the Excel accounting software to actual software, accounting software.
Did you catch that by any chance?
I heard accounting software.
Yeah, are you using, so the old administration used Excel to do their accounting? Are you guys using actual accounting software? It was one of the recommendations that in the audit a couple years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, good. So as part of our operational assessment, that was one item that we highlighted. In that context, we also identified that having a treasurer would be really pertinent to the group. So a treasurer actually has been hired and started, and I believe they've transitioned to QuickBooks.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's going to take a little bit of time to load the history and get that up and running. But I know the chair and vice chair have also worked diligently to redo the monthly financials to come out in a more transparent and detailed format. But I know that is transitioning out of Excel.
I mean, my other question is, I'm concerned there's only $1 million in reserves. I mean, that's like one claim. So what is I'm just concerned about that. That's not a lot of money. Is there a projection that this year the reserves will go up past $1 million, or do you have any ideas about that?
Yeah, I mean, where we started, I can see your concern about that. I mean, I think we led with complete conservative approach. So we're really, that's the basic baseline that we're starting from. We're going to continue to do everything that we can to build that up quickly, but that's where we're starting. And we're confident with the way the claims have been running and the changes that were just made, for example, on stop loss, and the changes that were made on pharmacy, that we do have a safety net for, any particular spikes in claims that may ensue.
Thank you.
I just want to say just thank you to you guys. I've been so impressed with the job that you've done after what we were faced with prior to you coming on. And I went from having zero faith in the trust to 100% faith in you guys. I don't think we're in agreement on aggregate deductible, but that's okay. That's all right. But I do have one request. So I am on those IAC meetings, but I'm not somebody who can talk because I'm not part of that committee. So I do want to put in my one request right now. And that is that you please look at a 500, 1,000 deductible, knowing for FY28, knowing that we'll work on the education piece over here on the town side with FSA, knowing that there's a rollover provision and that they can just put that money right into their FSA and have that higher deductible. So that would just be my one request.
And we certainly, just for the record, since I'm sure you were at the IAC meetings, when we initially proposed the plan.
Change, we proposed the 500 and 1,000. We did have, quite a bit of feedback from the IAC, and really, we knew that the deductible was a big change for members. So we really wanted to come to the middle on this, but certainly, your point is duly noted, and we will reevaluate that.
Thank you.
And that's something we hope to continue to explore, is potentially offering multiple plan designs for member units to adopt and choose from. So more to come on that as we start looking ahead for FY28.
Yeah, actually, that's another thing that I didn't think about earlier that just occurred to me now, is that sometimes you can just stick a really inexpensive plan in there, like throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, because you're always going to have people who just want the least amount of money coming out of their paycheck. And sometimes they're in a position where they can do that. They're young, they're healthy, whatever it might be. Knowing that that plan is an option for them might be, a way for the trust to just kind of save some additional money, not expecting to, though.
Absolutely, and something like a high deductible health plan might be a really good pathway as well.
Yep.
All right, anyone else, any other questions? All right, well, Danielle, Mariana, everybody else on your team, thank you both so much for all of this. This is really making us feel much more secure and informed. Thank you.
Well, anytime, we're happy to be a resource and come on, anytime if you have questions about any market occurrences or want another update in a few months, we're happy to do so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
All right, so moving along to discussion items. 6A, endorse primary election warrant on page 5.
This is from the town clerk. This is the primary election. It's on Tuesday, the first day of September 2026, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Belchertown High School Gymnasium. And this is to the primary state for Senator in Congress, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Auditor, Representative in Congress, Counselor, Secretary in the General Court, Representative in the General Court, District Attorney, and Register of Probate for Hampshire County. I make a motion, we endorse the article, the warrant.
Second? Second. Okay, and Jen seconded.
I don't know if Terry is on, because we have this, just somebody has to be present.
Oh, we need
don't know.
a notary?
Says I attest that the state is in compliance with the instructions. I think we're good, so she can sign it after we sign
That
it.
doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, she can sign it later. Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 4 and 0. All right. Another clerk-oriented topic, set date for special town meeting and set deadline for submission of warrant articles.
That's what I just did.
Oh,
Oh,
You did
no,
the
we,
primary.
special
special
town
meeting, sorry.
meeting. I
Yeah, we originally had
saw this in here.
yeah,
Because it's October 26th or November 9th.
Right. So at the last meeting, the select board voted to approve the annual calendar for tri-board meetings, special town meetings, the quad meeting, and some other special meetings, so we could try to get things in the books. And there's been a lot of talk about resuming the practice of having fall town meetings to try to take some of the pressure off the annual town meeting. So the board had originally talked about October 26th as a date that they'd like to target for that. In consulting with the town clerk, she has primaries that day, in-person voting,
Right.
and would not be able to get to the town meeting floor in time. So if we were to do the 26th, we would have to push the meeting till 7 o'clock. But November 9th is open for her, and I am gonna recommend that we go with November 9th, just to try to spread the workload out a little bit with the clerk's office. And I'm also recommending that we target September 24th at 4 o'clock as a deadline to submit warrant articles. I know we have a half a dozen already. There's 2 CPC articles that need to be amended. We have some additional state funding that I'll talk about later. And there may be some bylaw changes and some other things that come up. So, you know, I think we have enough already to get something started. And I did mention it today at a department heads meeting, so department heads are aware that this is coming up. And I asked them if they have anything that needs to be reviewed by the select board to do it ASAP.
Okay,
So,
all right, then do I hear a motion?
I make a motion, we set a special town meeting for November 9th with warrant items due by September 24th.
Second.
Okay, discussion. I'm sure we've already checked, but are there any holidays or anything that we may not immediately think of that we should consider? No?
I just checked the calendar. I didn't see
I
anything.
just checked. The 11th is Veterans Day, it's 2 days late.
Right, it's 2 days prior. And do we need to include the time in this motion?
yeah, we should. Typically, I think we do 6:30, and that's why the 26th was not going to work.
Right. I don't know if it's a necessary detail for the motion, is it?
We didn't put a place either, because it's
We
just
need
to
to
set the
set a place,
date.
yeah.
So we can set the time and place later, I think, once we get closer, right?
What did you say?
Yeah, we can do it when the warrant articles are reviewed, if you
Okay.
want.
Let's do it then.
So just for now,
Yeah.
okay, so then motion on the table is just for the date of the actual special town meeting and then also the date of when the deadline for submission of warrant articles is due. Okay, no other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there's 4, passes 4-0. Okay, the next item is a housekeeping item, vote to disband Buildings and Grounds Committee. Some more information on page 6. This is the charge to the Building and Grounds Committee, which, Steve, they have not met in over a year, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Membership's been an issue. Actually, finding a purpose has been a little bit of an issue. When this was formed, we didn't have a capital improvement planning committee. We didn't have a creative economy committee. And there were, you know, some thoughts that this was kind of going to be part of that role. Since then, some of the members have, at least one of the members has joined the capital improvement planning committee. And I believe one member is on the CEC now, so I don't think it's a necessary committee at this time. We can always revisit it in the future, but right now I think we should just disband it and get it off the list.
Okay, and any other remaining members on this committee, they're aware of this discussion? No one would be surprised?
I'm not even sure if they're,
Yeah, I think the only one was Kristen, but she didn't have capacity to do anything.
Right.
Any volunteer work and recent, I checked in with her like at least a month ago. and
Just to make sure
she's-
no one would be surprised. if
Yeah,
it was. We're
I don't think
disappointed.
it would be
yeah,
a
Kirk
surprise.
Stevens was another member. He's on our EDIC.
Great,
So, yeah,
okay.
I agree.
All right, then do I hear a motion?
I move that we disband the Belchertown Buildings and Grounds Committee effective immediately.
Second.
Okay, Jen seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone abstaining? Opposed? No, that was 4-0-0. Okay. Next, we need to endorse release deed to convey town property to E EDIC.
Yeah, so this is the parcel of property that is part of the 60 or so acres behind Anytime Fitness. That's also adjacent to the EDIC's land. It's a landlocked parcel. There is a little bit of access off of the Ledgewood Estate subdivision, but not enough to do anything with. So we've gone back and forth with this piece. It's been surveyed. It has been approved. The transfer has been approved at town meeting. And this will essentially square off the EDIC's land in the back, which will open up more area for future business development. They're looking at that as a business park.
Okay.
And they're anxious to get going on this. So the sooner we get this deed over to them, the sooner they can start their marketing efforts to try to find a developer either to buy it or partner with them.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Move that we endorse the release deed between the town of Belchertown and Belchertown Economic Development Industrial Corporation as written.
Second,
Okay, discussion?
we'll have someone notarize, I'll do notary.
We do have a notary here.
Dan's here.
Very
I
fortunate.
would say if I'll come up after the meeting.
Sure.
and do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
All right.
So if one member can hold off on signing until then.
Okay, any other discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, next, this one might take a second longer. We're finalizing goals and objectives, and in your packet, you'll find the latest version of goals and objectives, the new trimmed down version. I do want to open it up to a quick discussion, but to do that properly, we probably do need to have a motion on the table.
I make a motion that we finalize the goals and objectives for FY27 as written.
Does anyone second?
A second so we can discuss it.
Yeah, so we can
Sure.
discuss it, thank you. So, everyone has a chance to look at it. I know, I just want to point out that goal number 1, economic development, which was our largest goal last year, is a little bit lean this year. I know that is because we were all anticipating the opportunity to meet with, what we're calling the quad board. So EDIC, Creative Economy, Planning Board, understand a little bit more of what some of their plans are. I am hopeful not to put too much pressure on ourselves with more goals or on Steve, but as we've had that meeting, then maybe we could even add a few more goals as we've clarified what our plans are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's based on what makes sense coming out of that meeting. That meeting may produce something that kind of ties our hands.
Right.
But I think we should possibly parking lot it for revisiting after quad board.
Parking lot this today?
No, not the discussion today, but parking lot's not the word. We need a reminder that following those quad board meetings that we revisit this one goal,
Yeah.
I think. So we don't forget to do it.
Right. Right, and I don't want it to be a running list that we get to add forever, more and more goals, but if there's something that comes out that's very clear, just writing it down, I think would be helpful. That would be my opinion, personally. Does anyone else have any other thoughts they want to discuss about these goals?
I think it can be changed if you need to. We can always come back to the table and add things or take things away as we see fit, as we learn new information. I think that's the best thing about goals and objectives. It doesn't have to be concrete.
Right.
I'm just still fuzzy about what Steve's performance goals and objectives are versus what our team goals are. I don't feel very clear about it, so I'm just gonna say that out loud, so I'm.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. So when we did the performance evaluation, we were fortunate that we had our director of HR be involved a little bit later, and I think next time, earlier. We also talked about that having an agreed upon tool for the performance evaluation is really important. So they should be separate tools, but tied in some ways.
Okay.
So, but to your point, they should be separate. So we should have a very clear performance evaluation to review, and goals can be part of the conversation, but he should not be measured solely based on the goals, because these are the goals of the town, not just Steve's performance.
Okay.
That is my interpretation.
I agree with that.
I also think we've already put a date on the calendar for the next performance evaluation, so we're already more organized for next time.
Okay.
I think there's a separate discussion item we should probably talk about, so we're prepared
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, and
sooner than later, I guess.
yeah, and I'll
Steve then can plan his year out too, so
Right.
he has an expectation.
and I'll keep giving you credit all year for putting that initial calendar together. I think it's going to serve us very
As a
well.
team.
Yeah. Steve, is there anything that you would like to discuss with the goals and objectives?
Delicately.
Sure.
So, last year's, I'm glad that you mentioned the performance evaluation, because my performance evaluation this year was very heavily linked to goals and objectives, which we didn't approve till the end of August, and conducted my performance review in June. So it was a 9-month review. A lot of those items were either open-ended or could not be completed in a year. We ran into problems, and I think this year's goals and objectives corrects a lot of that. My concern would be that it's still fluid, because if we're going to meet quarterly on goals and objectives and we're going to take things off and add things, then certainly this conversation tonight is going to be in the back of my head. How closely is my performance going to be linked to a fluid document? So I do appreciate that, and since you brought that up, I would say I would support a vote on this document tonight. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you. I also, and I don't want to belabor it too much, but I don't like the idea of us limiting what goals we put on goals and objectives, because we're concerned that you won't have time to complete them as a human. Like, we need to be constantly thinking about our movement forward. So, in some ways, separating the two.
Yes, but I also think we need to be mindful that we can't just slash it and start all over again.
No.
Like, because that's not fair. That's not fair to Steve, or to us. It's not fair to anybody. And so I think if we are going to go back on some of these and make edits, that's perfectly okay, just within reason, and we're all reasonable people. So that's just something that I would be mindful of.
I appreciate that comment. Anybody else? Okay, then the motion is to approve as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? And anyone abstaining?
I'm still gonna abstain,
Okay.
just for now.
So it passes with 3 ayes, no nays, and 1 abstention.
Is it too late to ask? I'm just curious as to what you're thinking.
I just wanna, like, when we say finalize, like, we're voting on the finalization, but we just committed to separating out the performance portion, and then we just agreed it was gonna be fluid documents, so I agree with what we've put into it, but I don't know that it needs to be like finalized. I don't know. That's just like kind of like where my head's at the moment, so.
I hear you, but I don't know, maybe I'm too optimistic. I feel like that we've got a good foundation and we can always
Yeah, we
build
can
new
revisit,
things.
yep.
But I agree, I don't want to slash and burn yet either.
No.
I think we started pretty lean on purpose. It's achievable,
Yeah. Yeah.
but everyone always has the right to abstain. Okay, let's keep moving on. Discussion regarding ratification of new department heads. So this is a conversation that's been going on for a little while.
Yeah, I asked to put this on, so I can sort of
Please do.
speak to it a little bit. So since I'm the only one who was here when we rewrote the transition between what the board at the time was thinking about for town manager versus a town administrator, and what roles and responsibilities would be divided between the board and the new role that was created. I know that it's sort of come up a couple of times about new department heads, so I can just speak on behalf of the board at the time and the intention that we put into the language, which was the board at the time felt like we wanted to have final say on who were hired as department heads, not so much the rest of the staff for the town. It was just to ensure that person that was hired in these very important elevated roles were qualified individuals, not that we didn't trust the hiring committees or whatever, what have you, and that it sort of followed the way that hires were made for department heads previous to the change, which was the recommendations were presented to the select board, and then we selected the final applicant to be hired. So I understand that we saw the council's interpretation of that. I know the intention behind the language of what we had discussed as a board together. I don't have the notes or the minutes or the what have you. I just remember the intention behind the conversations that we had at the time when we were talking about this stuff. So I don't know what to do with it, that we have the bylaw, it went through the legislation, and then we do have council's recommendation. So I asked to bring this back up because I know that was the intention, so it hasn't been happening in practice, and I know that when it was questioned, it was confusing, the language, as it was written in the legislation, so. That's the introductory to the conversation, I guess.
Did everyone have a chance to read legal counsel's interpretation of this?
Yeah, I did, and I'm not a lawyer, so
Yeah.
I wish the legal was here
Yeah.
to give a better overview. So it's not anyone's fault. It's like legal jumbo, word twisting around, and I read this, so I was more confused sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, my interpretation is that it's up to interpretation, it's a gray area. I personally had a paragraph that I thought made the most sense. Is it appropriate to read something directly from legal counsel?
Sure.
The paragraph where it said, and I won't read the entire thing, but I think there's a strong argument that the select board's role is more substantive than how they used to take the role. The act provides the department head appoints shall not take effect until the appointment is ratified and confirmed by the select board. And the use of ratified and confirmed suggests that the legislature intended the board to engage in some level of independent review before deciding whether to approve the appointment. Accordingly, I think the board may review qualifications, conduct reasonable due diligence, and potentially interview a candidate before voting on ratification. His next paragraph then says, however.
That's where I was.
So it's really up to interpretation. What are everyone else's thoughts?
I would like to know if maybe in this room we could come to kind of like a gentleman's agreement on what you're open to our role being, rather than saying, this is what this says.
Right.
What can we agree upon? I'll say one thing, and I know this has nothing to do with department heads, but being asked to be on the hiring committee for our economic development planner made me feel so good. It made me feel included and like I was a part of something, and like I was really happy to be able to do it. And I think we all need to have an opportunity to do something like that, because sometimes I think we feel like, well, once we give the marching orders, that's it, we're all hands off. But something like that lets you stay involved, and so it's been meaningful to me. So I wonder if we can kind of come to an agreement tonight of what you would be comfortable with our role.
Well, I think the however that's in that email is important, because the however states that the select board would not manage a parallel process, which means you would not be conducting a search and interviewing multiple candidates. I think it was pretty clear that it would be interview a final candidate.
Right.
My concern would be if the board's not going to ratify the appointments I put forward, that I don't feel I should be responsible for the department head's performance if they fail. I'm putting forward the people I feel can do the job best, and I want to manage those people. They're the people I feel I could work with the best. I feel they're the people that can fit the organization the best. They may not have the best qualifications on paper, but sometimes there's something about a candidate that makes me feel that they are the right person for the organization and can grow with the organization and become all they can be. So that's my concern. I don't have an issue with the board wanting to meet a candidate before voting on them, interviewing them, asking some questions, get the feel for that candidate to see what I see. To me, that's fine. And I don't think that that's a problem. So that's where I'm at with it.
Right. Nicole's reflection was really interesting, because I hadn't heard that, and that's actually really nice. It makes me think, without us having control, if it would just make us feel informed. So even though you ultimately have the decision, if we were more aware of how confident you are, then maybe it wouldn't even be a concern. Maybe it would just be that we've heard all those points, and then there's the ratification. But Jen, again, you were there of another time.
I mean, I was there. I mean, I'm one, just like I am now, I was one of 5 people, right? So this is not me saying anything. I'm one to adequately reflect what the conversation was at that point in time, knowing that in practice things could change, right? So I'm just saying that out loud, that was the intention. Then now we're like in the practice implementation mode of all of this and seeing how things work and how things don't work or what have you. So, I think there's been a slew of department head hires, and it's felt, I think, a little jarring that this person got hired, and then they come in and we have to rubber stamp it, and that just doesn't, I think, hasn't felt good for me, having done it the other way before. Because it doesn't feel like, I don't really want to have a lot of say either. But I don't want to feel like we're just doing some paperwork because it's in the legislator. And
checks and balances are important.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of where, that's why I asked to have this conversation.
Is there an in-between between us having no awareness until it's on our desk and making them publicly be interviewed? Is there an in-between place where we can land? Because the latter feels a little intimidating.
I mean, yeah, I'd feel bad if a candidate came in front of us and we all agreed not to hire this person. It'd be like
Oh,
awful
gosh.
look for this candidate. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm just trying to figure out how do you
Yeah.
mend the bridge in between that. I'm not saying that's gonna
Right.
happen, but
Right.
it would
Well,
be
and then
embarrassing
what
for all
if their
of us.
other employer finds out that they were searching and then they have
Correct.
a bad work environment? That'd be awful.
Well, by law, we can only keep candidates confidential up until the final interview. So at any final interview, they have to tell their employer.
Okay.
Even if that final interview is with me, because the assumption would be that I would be following up with that employer for a background check or a reference check.
I mean, I do like the idea that Nicole was, or there was a select board member on the hiring process, or not the interview process, which I think
Yeah,
is a
hiring
good,
committee.
I don't think we need a whole board present for,
Just
but I think rotate through, if you're okay with that, or depending on who it is or what it is.
Well, it could
Are you
become
talking
awful.
about just for department heads? Because that's
Just for
the only,
department heads,
that's
yeah.
the only positions that I'm interested in.
Conversation is
like,
just for
sticking-
department
Just the
heads.
department heads, sorry, I'm just sticking to department heads.
I don't know. Yeah, so. I'm curious how if Joanne has any thoughts too, since she's here and she's like, I don't want to weigh in on this
Tip your head down and we won't look at you.
Fair to put Joanne in the
And maybe we have to come back to it. I'm just curious if there's an in-between where we don't have to publicly display this person, and we also don't have to wait until it is public that we're being told, I'd like to hire this person, will you stamp it? Because then we can't say no really either. So what is
Right, it
the
is a
in-between,
little
which hopefully
weird.
we never would do, but what is the
Right.
in-between where we can be informed in a way that we can best also understand and support? So we could return to it if we all need to think about that.
I mean, could there be like, when the decision is made, it's sent one way only to us so that we can at least see who the person, I don't know,
Oh, rather than waiting till,
waiting till the meeting? At least then we can see like their resume and like, you know, I don't know, like just like a one-way information.
Is there a way in a confidential process we can know the finalists, especially if you have multiple?
I'd have to look into that a little bit.
Well, when we do a memo to the board about a candidate we'd like to move forward with,
Don't we
I
include-
try to give a lot of background information, you know, about the recruitment process, who was involved in the selection, background on the candidate that we'd like to move forward. So I try to give you, you know, some, you're not going into it completely blind. Some information about the candidate. I mean, I can include more and say, you know, the other names of the candidates that we interviewed. And I will also say, just from my own personal experience, I was hired when the board made their final decision.
Interesting.
And it was awkward.
Yeah, I bet.
To be honest, it was very awkward. I really I didn't receive a clear expectation for what I was even walking into, so I didn't even realize that this was like the final interview for the position, and then I was hired on the spot. Kind of weird.
It is very awkward.
It was weird.
Yeah.
In a
So-
public meeting, they were like, you got the job?
Yes.
That's very strange.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so I don't know if I think we have to be careful about how we think about that process.
I don't remember getting memos on previous department heads.
They're probably in the packet, that's probably why.
So then that's when we're gonna be ratifying it. So that feels too late for me.
Yeah, I feel like in some instances, I didn't know who a department head was until they came. Well, that's too extreme. That's not true. I don't know. I don't remember getting that preliminary memo about someone
Yeah, and there's
saying
only-
this is the person we're considering. The only reason I knew about some was because I think I had to reach out and ask you.
Yeah.
But then that gives me information that others don't have, and that's not fair either. So I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah, and we often don't get our packets until the end of the day on Friday. So that is a little
It's
late.
tight. Yeah, I'm trying to think back, I mean, we've only appointed 3.
Yeah, there's not
department
been that many.
No.
heads. Our
There's only been,
DPW director, our treasurer collector, and our assessor over 3 years.
Well,
And then veterans.
And vets.
And-
Oh, conservation and vets,
Yeah.
yeah, so 5. I forgot, yeah, those are
Yeah.
And I
two
just
recent
think,
ones.
and I think about that, like if you, let's say the person's getting hired, whatever, then you want to ratify them, like what happens if we wanted to ask that person questions? And then we'd have to invite them to our meeting and we know nothing, I'm not saying we're trusting you, but what happens if we had a question about it? How can we clarify that question before we go to ratification?
Right. And it's not about you.
It's not about you, I trust you.
Right, it's about the
but-
role,
the
right?
role,
Like,
yeah.
you know, we're trying to,
And I have to say, because we talk about this when we talk about the Declaration of Independence, original intent is so important. And if you're saying here, this was her original intent, I feel like that should be honored.
yeah. I don't know. So, I don't have an answer either. I just,
So I guess my request would be, would it be appropriate, or it is appropriate, but would you and Joanne maybe come up with a proposal of what you think would work within your timeline so that we don't stall out your process, but we feel we have a little more time to understand who that person is?
Yeah. Should be able to.
Would that
Yeah,
work
that's
for you
fair.
too, Jen?
Yeah,
This
that's
is your
fair.
topic. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. All right. Anything else on this before we move on? Okay. Thank you. All right. More discussion of signs on the town common, town properties. This came up in our last couple of meetings, actually. Lots of people want to put signs on the town common. We want there to be activities going on. This is good, but we also don't want it to get junky. So I see, Steve, you've included the old town policy here for us.
the bylaws.
This is the bylaws.
Yeah, we really
Page
don't have a
packet.
separate policy. We have a permit application that has some rules on it, and we also have the town bylaw.
Right.
So, and I think maybe it's easier to talk about what the question is, and the question is, should we limit the number of signs that are permitted at any one time, right?
Right.
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 Because we can certainly add something to, you know, the permit application, or even go to the town bylaw and add something if we had to. But I think that's the biggest concern.
Yeah, Jen.
I actually have a question. How does this relate to the historic district bylaws? Because they have strict guidelines about what happens within the historic district, yes or no?
Don't know if their regulations would cover temporary signage.
Okay.
That would be a question.
Also, their sign is a little sad for the district. It's like literally just a post, there's no information.
I can't even think of
It's
what their
on the
sign is.
corner up on the hill
Those are
at the,
very, very old signs.
they're very
Those are
old
signs. I've been here
signs.
since I was a
I think
kid.
we were gonna do some new signage as part of the wayfinding.
Yeah, yeah, I only just mentioned it because it's like their sign is.
Can't even envision it.
I remember that.
It's right by the floor,
Yeah.
you know, the florist on the corner.
been there
It's up
forever.
on the hill. And it's not even a sign, it's literally a
No,
post.
It was a
and
sign,
it says
and then
Belchertown
it
is
was no longer a sign. It's really
I don't
sad.
even know.
There used to be a sign at every boundary,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
most of them are gone now, but
yeah.
But we talk about like signs on the town common, there
Yeah.
used to be that big billboard,
Board, yeah.
sandwich board, so I wonder if we limit it just to that sandwich board, and then like
And we're
you,
going back to what we
that's
Right.
what
had
we had
before.
previously.
That's
Yeah,
what we
we would
had
be
before.
back
so it's not, then you're not seeing so many yard signs, and you just say, you can put the yard sign on the sandwich board, and that's, I don't know,
The
I just
problem,
don't.
yeah, the problem with that is only one person can use it at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
But I wonder if you limit the size, though, we just, and you can only do the 4x4,
Then you can't
Then you
read
can't
it.
read it, yeah.
but you, that's all there are now is yard signs, so what's the difference if you have a yard sign, and 4 yard signs on the sandwich
They
board?
look too.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Is there grant money available for something similar to what the fire department has?
It's $15,000. We
How
went
much?
through this. It was a
15?
$15,000
Oh, I thought it was more.
electronic billboard sign.
Yeah,
Is
we-
there grant money
It was
available?
a grant for them.
Not for general use. We were able to find grants for public safety use. We can advertise on the one down by the fire station.
Right.
I think we could revisit a grant for, a public safety grant for in front of the police station down on State Street. But they're not allowed in the historic district.
Yeah.
That's the other problem.
Okay.
So the fire station is on the outside edge of the historic
Yeah.
district. So.
I think Chief Ingram was looking into a grant for for one for public safety, if I remember right.
Yeah, we've talked about it several times. It came before the board, maybe before your time, and it was tabled. And
Yeah.
we put the one in front of the fire station, and there was a lot of concern.
Oh, no, I was on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, now that it's been in operation for over a year,
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone.
Everybody was worried about pedestrians.
I was worried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, I am too. There's another little handmade
Um,
sign that's making.
so I would
it
like
right
to
now.
see another one down by the police station, so we can
Yeah.
get rid of the portable one.
What's
we-
the most at a time of sign requests that we get?
Well,
We've got 5 or 6 right now.
I thought it was 5, right
We don't
now.
have the matrix in front of us. I don't remember
So-
from last time.
And that's been the thing, but if we limit everybody to 1 sign or 2 signs on the common,
It's not effective.
then, it's a good problem to have, because it means there's a lot of events going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do we strike that balance? I agree.
Well, I'm just wondering about like maybe construction of a new sandwich board that is larger, that can hold, a few different events that are big enough to be read. Maybe that's something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Pathfinder, DP, I don't know,
Right.
could build for us.
The other thing I thought too is the length that they're posting these. Do we really need these signs up for 6 weeks?
A week at a time.
Well,
So you can
what
only
about
reserve
community
it,
yard
well, you,
sale?
well, that, because
I think
those
we-
are the little
we-
ones.
The little ones. We
the
approved-
sandwich board, it's a week at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that is the good point then. Is the concern actually the little ones? Is that the problem? So
That seems to be, but I think you're onto something there. If we said they can only have them up for 2 weeks prior to the event,
It
then that
would
would
be.
cut down on the number that are back to
It
back.
would.
That's true.
But we could also hybrid and say on the common,
Hmm.
no sooner than 2 weeks, but if they want to put them on State Street down by the schools, or if they want to put them somewhere else in town, they could go longer.
Try it out.
This way they could have a little bit of, because sometimes like the tag sale, they really want to, market that for, so they can maximize their attendance. So maybe we could do, 2 weeks on the common, but they could have, start a month early everywhere else.
But not
So-
in the historic district, right?
Right, so maybe 2 weeks in the historic district,
Okay.
longer elsewhere.
Got it.
When you bring that up, maybe we should ask the historic district
What their thoughts are.
their thoughts are also.
And their liaison.
I'm just throwing the idea out there.
Yeah.
Maybe that might be a good
We
idea.
can look at their bylaws.
What
too.
about a second sandwich board on the common?
It's possible too. I don't know, I guess this problem only really
In
comes
the
up
summer.
in the summer.
Yeah.
So I'd hate to,
Yeah.
have something there all year.
Well, it can be removed.
It can be, yes. That's not a bad plan. I think, limiting the amount of time on the common and the number of signs on the common makes sense.
I don't want to go so far as to propose a limit at this moment because we don't have a better pathway.
Well, we could limit the number per event and not the number of events. We could say no more than 1 sign on the common per event. So if we have 4 events going on, there'd
Yeah.
be 4 signs.
Yeah.
Instead of an event coming in, putting 2 signs on the common, and another one putting 2 on, because now you have
We're
10
talking about the
signs.
state signs,
Yeah.
though, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
yeah.
I like
So-
2 weeks before and the limit, the 1 sign per event.
Yeah. But then I think about Nicole's point, because the sandwich board, everybody's gonna want the sandwich board. It's such great advertisement.
Yeah.
Well, we can work on a larger sandwich board. Because by the time, if you vote tonight on 2 weeks and 1 sign per event, if it passes, that'll get us through the season.
Yeah.
By next spring, we can have a larger sandwich board. We could revisit this if there's problems.
Sure.
So, maybe that's an option. Because we're gonna need to check with the Historical District Commission to see if they have any concerns over a larger signboard. I just wanna make sure that that's not an issue.
Okay.
So, short-term, long-term solutions,
Sure.
they're
That's
always
true.
good.
That's true. Short-term, long-term. Okay, well, Steve suggested a motion that someone could make, or they could adjust to their purpose.
I make a motion that we follow Steve's recommendation. Does that make sense? Or I could
See,
rephrase
what do you
it. I
say?
make a motion that we limit signs to 2 weeks before the event and 1 sign per an event on the common.
Second.
Okay.
Does it sound better?
It does sound better.
For now.
And then you already have the policy in place about how large the sign needs to be and all of that, so we don't have to
Right.
change that.
Right.
And anyone who's already been approved, they're grandfathered in, right? We're not
Yeah,
gonna
so anybody coming in from here.
Now on.
forward.
From here on out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You feel comfortable?
And this is only applicable to the common,
Only, but yeah.
Yep.
or the
Yeah.
historic district, we're
Yeah.
gonna say.
Right. Any more discussion?
No.
Okay,
I'm
you're
just
gonna chat with historical groups, Steve?
I'm looking at their
Yes.
bylaws.
Okay.
They're very vague. It just says no neon.
Oh,
Permanent vinyl banners will not be permitted, and temporary vinyl banners or signs will be permitted for a period of time not to exceed 60 days. So it's not helpful at
gosh.
all.
No.
So they've seemingly, most of their bylaws are more applicable to like design work on
Not
building
size, nothing on
structures.
size.
This doesn't seem like there's much of a,
So you're more restrictive than they are, which is fine.
somebody's
There's
muted.
2 people
All right,
in G2.
well,
okay.
I still think that the motion's fine. It will be interesting though if we are able to procure another sandwich board, if that will change
I
their
think,
thoughts.
I mean, on the sandwich board, I know we're in discussion still, I think that would be great for the historic commission to kind of work with Pathfinder or just design a nice historical
nice
sign that would
board.
fit on our common. I think this would be a great avenue for the students and for the commission,
That would
the
be
commission to start
interesting.
working on something like
They
that.
might come up with a
And
better
come-
design too.
Yeah, and come in front of the board. Instead of us trying to pick it,
Yeah.
let them
Facts.
kind of do a little project.
Let these young and talented people
And I think
figure
they
it
could do a
out.
good job.
It's a good idea.
Will you relay that message, Nicole?
Yeah, I can reach out to them.
Anyone else? All right, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous.
Good stuff.
Okay, so now, town manager's report.
All right, endorsed warrants as usual. I did publish the RFP for the cultural district manager consultant.
Oh, good.
This is a parallel process to the reviewing applications for the community and economic development planner. People have asked what the difference is between these 2 positions. The cultural district manager is going to be focused more on arts and culture, recreational opportunities, where our community and economic development planner will be focusing more on businesses. There will be some overlap from the planner position to arts and culture because that is a critical part of the economic development equation here in town. We know that recreation is going to be part of any economic development plan because that's what's going to bring people to town who wouldn't ordinarily come here. So they are different positions. One is a consultant, it's temporary. The other is funded through our budget, part-time. Hopefully at some point it'll be full-time, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So that RFP went out. Today was the deadline. I have not reviewed the submittals. I did receive 2. Joanne and I met with accounting and reviewed the FY27 collective bargaining agreements, police, fire, and DPW, to discuss implementation of those, so that everybody's on the same page. There was a pinning ceremony for Lieutenant Jared Lavalle. He was promoted from sergeant earlier this year, and we had a very nice ceremony. His family was there, and his wife pinned him. So he was actually at the department heads meeting today. He filled in for the chief, and we're happy to have him.
That's great.
I did attend the special meeting for goals and objectives. I attended a meeting with MassDevelopment. This was a daytime meeting just to talk about marketing. They're going to be bringing some signage into town, and they were looking for some assistance with location and installation. So we did have a discussion about that.
What
For what
kind of
property,
sign?
parcel D?
No, this is for the Carriage Grove area.
What?
No, you guys just both were funny.
Both at the same time.
Yeah.
Is this just a new for sale sign? Like what kind of a sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marketing signs.
Okay.
Yeah, for sale, that kind of stuff.
So they have a new realtor?
That they didn't divulge. I don't know if I think they might be marketing it themselves, but
Interesting.
yeah.
We don't have to approve their sign, right? They can,
No, the real estate signs are exempt.
okay. It's gonna be a little bigger.
I did attend the meeting with the Water District. Not only did I attend that meeting, but I have been in constant contact with them, just going over, what's going on. I know at the last meeting I reported that the Water District is focused on preserving drinking water, and that is their number one priority, as you heard tonight. Everything else is secondary. We did have a MassTrails grant initiation meeting with the folks at the state level to talk about the grant that we received and just the different grant requirements. I did meet with the grant manager to discuss the cultural district designation and planning for that grant application. And well, not the grant application. She's helping with the
Cultural district application.
the application. Correct. Thank you.
When is that due?
February.
I attended the EDIC meeting of July 15th remotely. I met with the Sportshaven team to discuss next steps. We're in a bit of a holding pattern right now. There is some remaining work that's on hold as well for National Grid to come in and upgrade some services. When that's done, if we don't have another funding source, then the project to be paused until we receive additional funding. We're looking for somewhere between 1.5 and 1.8 million. We do have a legislative earmark request in, as well as a grant application through One Stop. So we're hoping that we'll get some answers soon. I did review the incident on Old Bay Road at the Cutchins facility. I know we really shouldn't talk too much about that tonight, but I will report that both chiefs and I will be meeting with the Cutchins managers to discuss the incident and what, if anything, can be done to mitigate that. Our first priority is to make sure that the children that are receiving care there are well taken care of, and that the residents in that neighborhood are also whole. So we will report back as soon as we know something.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment on that? So I really would like a public meeting on that with the director of the program. Because I believe this would mark the second meeting that you've had with her, and not only does it seem that no improvements came from that, but things much worsened, and I would like a public invite for Tina Champagne.
Yeah, I can extend an invite. I will state that since that meeting, we have seen a decline in responses.
Okay,
So-
a decline in responses, but an increase in severity.
Okay, fair enough. I did review the progress on the sale of 6 Berkshire Ave. There is a title issue that we need to clear up. It's a little bit of a disagreement between attorneys. I know the town attorney feels it's not an issue. But when that property was transferred from the state, it came with the caveat that it has to be used for specific purposes. The proposal that was submitted from the buyer meets those specific purposes, but the buyer's attorney is concerned about the reverter clause and would like us to work with DCAM to have it lifted.
What's the reverter clause?
That if the property's not used for the intended purpose, it would go back to the state.
Okay.
So they just want that cleaned up, and I can understand that. So we are working with the state to clean that up.
You've been at it for a few weeks now. How's it going?
I haven't heard anything back, so
Okay.
I'm still waiting for the attorney.
Sorry, I have a dumb question. Does that include 8
It does, so yeah, I'm gonna try to get it lifted on both of them.
and
Yeah.
Agile?
Yes,
And the other ones are in the clear because we repurposed all of them?
right,
They-
well, they're municipally occupied, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, my understanding is this reverter clause expires after 30 years,
right.
and we're 2 years shy,
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
so.
So then they could take 8 back and they can
have
deal with
yeah,
it.
Yeah, we should. Now, that's a good
Love it.
plan. yeah.
Actually, yeah, they can have it.
Yeah, let's talk about that later.
Alrighty.
All right.
Sorry.
So I am working on that. I want the board to be up to speed on what's going on. I did review the zoning review project with the town planner. Currently, he is looking at working with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and town council to complete the zoning review, and that's funded through a grant, so it wouldn't add to our legal fees. I did review the final state aid budget. This is a topic that I think we're going to have to engage the finance committee to decide what we're going to do. But the final state budget came in at approximately $341,000 higher than we anticipated. That's the first major
right response.
bump that we've probably seen in 10 years, so it was very unexpected.
Yeah.
The school department's school choice money also increased by $160,000. And that money's a pass-through. There's no additional action that needs to take place. The schools have it.
Oh, good.
Do we know the, did the governor come out and say, I'm gonna try to send more aid to the towns, or was this a math thing, or?
Well, we hear that rhetoric every year. You know, I've been paying attention to this for 30 years, even before I was town manager, and we hear the same thing every year, and in the end, we see these little drips and drabs. So this was unexpected. It's welcomed. You know, we need a few more of these bumps to kind of keep us afloat.
Yep.
So we're not aware of a specific campaign that she was saying, I'm gonna send more money?
Yeah, I don't know. It is an election year. You know, that always helps,
There was an article
you know.
about, she wanted to send more money to schools, that she was looking at supplemental bill, right?
Right.
100 million.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But the bottom line is we have a few choices to make. We can do nothing with the funds, which means they would just roll into free cash next year. We can take
Next year, because it was after July 1st, right? So fiscal
It'll be for 28.
28, yep. Or we can go to town meeting and we can appropriate those funds. I am recommending against that, and I have not talked to the finance committee. I don't know what their recommendations would be. I think that the majority, if not all of this money, should be put into stabilization, because that has been a major goal of the board and the finance committee and our financial offices, is to bring stabilization up to that percentage. But at the same time, if there are priorities that we feel that we need to address, I think we could consider them. So we should plan on making this a topic for our first tri-board meeting with the finance committee and see where they want to go with it.
Will you come prepared with a list, a short list of, if we did decide to not put it all into stabilization, what is on the short list of our needs?
I can ask department heads if they have ideas on how, you know, in what. My opinion, we just went through a budget process. Everybody has already been asked. It's going to have to be extraordinary.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my goal is to live within our means, and we did that this year, and I really think that we just need to set this money aside. It goes into the equation for next year because it's a revenue source. So I want to be very cautious how we spend it.
Do we accrue interest on our stabilization account?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And we have that new capital stabilization, right?
Right, well, that's
That's
where I
one of
was
them.
kind of going with this. I wasn't saying let's go blow it on pizza. I was thinking more like, what are our capital needs? Like, do we have a short list that we could, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if we could, you know, department heads do have a limit on how many projects they can manage. I would be concerned if we put more money into capital, that we would potentially, you know, overload those departments with
fair.
managing projects.
That's fair.
However, we do have a pending insurance claim. I think I updated the board on this before. We had a power surge and the transformer at the
yes.
senior center
Yes.
blew up.
With the word insurance, it means lots of things. So.
Yeah. So the repair estimate came in fairly reasonable.
Okay.
I think it was in the tens of thousands. We're renting a transformer. That's going to be tens of thousands. That power surge also caused one of our HVAC units to fail. We're renting an HVAC unit. while this one's being repaired. And we're working with the insurance company now because that HVAC unit was in our capital plan to be replaced. And we want to know if we can take the repair money and put it towards the replacement project.
Yeah.
So Linda and I and our insurance carriers have been discussing this in great length, and we're trying to figure out the best path forward.
Okay.
If anything gets denied in that claim, then we may have to push some of that money towards
Okay.
the transformer or the rental of the HVAC. But when this whole thing went down, we had 100-degree temperatures. We could not open the senior center without some sort of air conditioning. And that's also in our emergency management plan as a shelter and a cooling center. So with the knowledge that we weren't going to shut the senior center down for the summer, we did what we had to and filed a claim.
Quick question for you, since
Yep.
we're talking money. Have we told the finance committee and the schools about the anticipated tri-board meeting date?
I believe that's been communicated.
Okay,
Yep. Abby and Melissa have been sending out those dates,
okay,
but I'll make sure that they have, we probably should let them know about the full calendar.
yeah. Any updates on that electronic calendar? Is it working yet?
That I don't know. I didn't check in the office today about that. I know they had it up and running, and then for some reason, I don't know what caused it to crash. So I will follow up on that again. You know, I want to remind the board, and this might come up in a minute here, but you know, last year we had so much difficulty scheduling special meetings and tri-board meetings that we felt it would be best to set a year ahead. Knowing that if we did that, you know, there could be conflicts, but at the same time, people could start working around the select board.
Yeah.
So we did try to schedule the quad board meeting, which we have for August 17th, which is also the same date as the BCC's grant
It's the
awards.
24th, right?
24th, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Don't scare us.
So
yeah.
my opinion is the board voted, and the only way that this calendar is going to work is if we stick to it. But I do think we have some flexibility to move the meeting a half an hour later, start at 7 instead of 6:30, which would allow the BCC to do their thing and ours.
Yeah.
So I'll let you talk about that later. But the calendar is, you know, a priority. We're going to try to get that up and going, and I'll make sure it's communicated to everybody. I did attend the event at the library honoring Jennifer Whitehead's 30 years of service to the town. They planted a serviceberry tree for her, which was very appropriate. And both of our legislators were in attendance, as well as some of the select board members. It was a nice event. Jennifer brings a lot of energy to the library and the town in general. She's done so much for our children. She's a very well-known person in town, and you know, I would like to congratulate her again. Not very many people make it 30 years with an employer, and that's always an accomplishment, but you know, certainly I appreciate having her as part of our team here, so I want to just say thank you to her. And I did attend a luncheon with a regional luncheon with area town managers and administrators, and that's always a good time. You know, we always swap a lot of ideas and, you know, blow off a little steam, so it's always a good time. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Steve, just a point of order before we move forward. I know we don't have on the agenda to vote on changing the time for that August 24th quad board meeting. When would be an appropriate point in this meeting to do that? Can we? Because it's not an emergency item.
Can we do it the next meeting? Well,
Yeah, we could do it then.
Yeah, we
It'll
can
be
do it
okay,
next
right?
meeting.
If
Sure.
they just know that
August
that's
3rd.
the plan, and then
Yep.
we'll formally vote on it. Okay, great. Thank you. Review of weekly mail. Does anyone have any items they'd like to bring up?
the only thing I saw in there, I don't know if Steve has any comment on it, is that bridge over on Allen Road. I guess they're only going to start some of the project on it.
Yeah, so that's, I'm glad you picked up on that.
Because residents were asking, and I was
That's
like,
my
this is
bridge.
perfect,
That's your
yeah.
bridge,
That's
right?
my
Paul's
bridge.
bridge, yeah.
I know you can't
Yeah,
comment on
yeah.
it because you live by it, so.
Well, I'm so happy. That's my comment.
So my prediction was 15 years that bridge would be tied up. and Nicole reminded me today that it was only
Yeah.
10.
He told us 10 years ago that it would take 15 years to
Wow.
fix that bridge.
So it's a good sign that they put us on there. Just want to comment on that.
Yeah, so residents that use the Allen Road Bridge off of Daniel Chase Highway, Route 202, you know, I would say pay attention to, you know, road closure signs. Hopefully MassDOT will put up advanced signage so people know when when it's closed entirely and when it won't be. But that is welcome news. That bridge has been for a long time one lane, and it'd be nice to see that reopen.
You think they'll put a truck limit on it probably, most likely, like weight limit when they do the bridge, so they'll like,
That I don't know, but usually after they reconstruct them, well, this is a repair, but generally they are unrestricted.
okay.
I do also want, I'm going to reach out to conservation because I am curious about that beaver dam that's built right there that is literally just ponding the water and holding back the river from flowing. So I'm going to reach out to conservation on that.
Yeah, it's likely if it's impounding water back into the headwalls of the bridge that it's gonna have to be mitigated before they do any work anyway,
Okay,
so.
yeah.
But I would, if you wanna reach out to them, go ahead.
Anyone have any other items in there? No? Okay. I admit that I didn't have a chance to go through, so I was just peeking right now. Individual board member reports. Nicole, you want to go first?
Sure. So July 7th, I went to my first cultural council meeting as liaison. They're working on their grants reception planning, and they're looking to hold their grants reception at Arc Point with some, it's going to be kind of newer this year than in the past. They're going to have refreshments and a food truck there. They also had a member of the Energy and Sustainability Committee present to talk about possibly, it's not confirmed yet, implementing a recycling program at future Food Truck Fridays. So more to come on that. July 9th, I attended my first Communications Committee meeting as liaison. They reorganized but stayed exactly the same. So Chris Martin remains chair, Ed Como remains vice chair, and Allegra Giovine remains clerk. And they have 2 new members. One of them a young member, which was nice to see. They were talking about putting together training materials for employees regarding AI, use of AI. And they were very happy that the select board passed their communication plan and will begin its implementation. July 13th and today, I attended, actually John and I both attended the 250th Celebration Planning Task Force meeting. So just to be clear on that, that is a different event than the fireworks, but it's the same night, September 24th. It's going to take place before the fireworks. And so we are working on just putting together different events, as much free stuff as possible. We don't have a budget. And possibly doing some fundraising with the sale of t-shirts that will have the new Belchertown logo on it, as well as celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. July 14th and 16th, I did participate in the final interviews for the Economic Development Planner. We have a couple of excellent candidates, and I'm excited about whichever one gets awarded that position. And then the only other thing I wanted to bring up, this is not really a board report thing, so I had a concern that with all of the different events that are going on, that select board members, that we're all being invited to, I just want to make sure that one of us, at least one of us, is able to attend everything.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes it's not a good look if none of us show up, knowing that we all have jobs and other obligations and kids and all of that. But so Whitney and I kind of talked about this, and we wanted to have Abby kind of keep an eye on who's RSVPing to what. If there's something that none of us have RSVP'd to, she's going to circle back with Whitney and or I and just let us know. Because for me, for instance, even though I work full time, I do have the ability to sometimes move things around so we can at least have one representative at different functions. So just wanted to kind of let you guys know that that was something that we were aware of and addressing. And that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just add to Nicole's comment too. If you see something, say something. If you know something's going on, let us know. So, because sometimes we all have different pockets, and we know of interesting events sometimes before. All right, John.
8 July, obviously, went to the select board meeting to talk about goals and objectives. On 9 July, I went to Pine Valley Plantation. I've been going there quarterly, roughly. They invite me. I bring them up on current events. I have to bring this up. They kind of joked about this, but they wanted to thank the town for not supporting them with their loan because they initially asked for a water loan a long time ago and it got turned down. It would have been a low interest loan. They actually got a 0% loan from the state, so they thanked the town for not supporting them. It was a kind of a joke. They wanted me to bring that up. Steve knows what I'm talking about. But they do want to, we talked about hosting a meeting down there, so I'd like to bring that up again.
That's a good idea.
So it's nice in the summer months if we could try to do maybe end of August, early September, while it's still daylight for the residents down there. We might start the meeting early. They could do question and answer maybe a little longer. It has done in the past. They have moved select board meetings, and it fits with Nicole trying to get town meeting orientation, getting more people out there. I think if we bring our meeting to the public then will come, if that makes sense.
It's a great idea.
So that was one of my ideas I wanted to bring, and I thought maybe we could set a date with us, and then we could get back to Pine Valley, and they're open to any date.
Oh, okay.
So the sooner we can get knowledge, the better we can get.
Would it be too
lock in.
forward for us to look at a date right now? Can we do that?
I don't know the rules. on
I
this,
don't know
so-
the rules either. I look at you as though you are Robert.
Yeah, let me put it on the agenda for August 3rd, because I
pick a-
think you're gonna need to vote to move the meeting.
We will have to,
Location, the location.
we will need to vote to move the location? Got it, okay. That sounds good. We are only, at the August 3rd meeting, we're only missing Nicole.
Yeah, when we need them to agree to the date too, right?
Yeah.
So would you get some dates, John?
They're okay with any.
They don't care what date.
They said the more the daylight, the better for the residents. They have golf carts and stuff now, so they could drive them to the clubhouse. So they would set up the room for us.
I would give at least a month's notice though, so they can
Okay.
get it into their monthly newsletter.
They have a robocall system too to get it out.
Okay.
But they were very
advanced.
excited to host a meeting and
Okay.
wanted us to come back. Farmers Market I've been attending weekly. July 13th, I was at the 250th group. 13 July, I went to the fair committee, so they're planning, they're on track. 25 to 27 September, the fair's coming up. The exciting thing is the parade, so hopefully we're all gonna march in the parade this year. Just sending the invite to all of us if we can do that. We're trying to get,
For our fair?
for our fair.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that's coming is they're gonna invite the Golden Cane recipient to the parade, and then we have our sashes for our Employee of the Year and that kind of stuff. So I just said we have to work that into the parade. If we want to, where we want to put them in the parade. Are they gonna go march with us, or so we have to figure that out.
Where did we leave off on a parade banner?
We didn't.
We're trying to order one.
Kate said she was getting some quotes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
And the exciting part of the fair is they're bringing back the pony poles, so those little the kids do the pulling of the horses. They're small horses, so it's kind of cool. So I just want to bring that back, to put a caveat to that. It was a big
Sounds
hit
great.
last year,
Sounds great.
so it's in the hay bale to us, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're totally.
I'm
sold
excited
now.
for the fair, as you can tell, I'm fair prep mode.
He's like,
It's the best thing in town. 14 July, I attended the high school, I organized a meeting with our state reps, the district, superintendent was there, Eric LeBeau was there, Kevin, the athletic director, the principal, the water district was there, DPW was there, Jen showed up, you guys, we tried to keep it low. I mean, I know we didn't formally invite everybody, I apologize for that, I know it was just soon violating open meeting laws, I know we should probably post it next time, so my bad on that, I want to take the blame for that, but at the same time, it was a good discussion, I think we got a lot accomplished, it was an easy meeting tonight. I just want the residents to know we definitely all feel the concerns about the fields and the water issues, so we're highly looking at it still.
Okay. Thank you.
14 July, I went to the school committee meeting after that. They did the superintendent annual goal review, so that was my first meeting.
I should watch that. I'm just curious.
So it was a quick meeting, and then they're going to meet again on 4 August to have a special, well, it's not a special meeting, but they weren't going to plan for it to talk about the fields and the watering. So if the public's interested, make sure you attend on 4 August.
Okay.
Taxation Aid Committee couldn't meet because they had a cancellation because of no quorum. So we have to, it's just summer months, it's
What
hard.
committee was that?
Taxation Aid Committee.
Taxation aid. Okay.
I did 17 July, was with the event on the library. Today, again, it was the 250th meeting. Fireworks update, just so you're all aware, I think we're pretty much funded. We have
That's
a
great.
sponsor who offered to match up to $12,000, so
That's great.
I think we're gonna be funded for the fireworks. We're
great.
still looking for more donations, but the more the merrier. And then I met with the fire chief. I'm trying to get us all on board for emergency management. Select board, if you don't know, we're the emergency managers of the town.
When things
None
go
of us.
really wrong.
I've been through the training a long time ago, but if there's an emergency issue in the town, we are the responsible figureheads of that decision,
It's mainly
especially
her.
as the chair.
Yeah, I should probably be
So I'm
retrained.
trying to get a class for us to get all
It's the
that
hardest
work.
test I've ever taken.
I remember you
Yeah.
saying that. I started it and you finished it and it was, woo.
So I'm trying to get that all worked out, so maybe we
Okay.
can go to the burn building and then we can go to the fire station and do some of that stuff, so.
Okay.
I'm just trying to work all that so you're all aware of.
So I have to take the test again?
We all should take the test and do it.
That was like
Steve
7
should come
hours.
too, he'll laugh about it. But I'm trying to get him to like, do some ladder class, we can get bunker gear on.
Oh my gosh,
and
what are you
do
gonna do
that
to us?
stuff. It's just, so we're all in the know and everything, so it kind of makes us all functioning, and if you're okay with that, so
I'm
that's where
scared,
I'm
but
at.
I'm interested.
It'll be fun, I think it'll be more fun than what you think, but that's where I'm at.
That's great. Thank you. Jen?
Oh my gosh. I don't like going after John.
I know,
Fun.
somebody's got to. We'll start making John go last.
I'm just gonna put another plug for that webinar that split into
Yes,
two.
yes.
So I forget when the second part is. I think it's next week. But if you've not watched it, I found it very enlightening. So I'm looking forward to the second part of that webinar. So folks from the Creative Economy Committee went to the Quabog Chamber meetup on Thursday, this past Thursday. I wasn't able to attend, but they reported back that it was really good connection. Reestablished the connection with the Quabog Chamber, which they've gone through so many transitions in their leadership, so it was good to have that face-to-face, and they found the conversations to be pretty well-received and good. So I'm happy that they did those two little events, and I hope that they're able to do some more. That's really all
Okay,
okay.
sounds good. Yeah, I won't take up time because I didn't have anything terribly interesting to share. And we are continuing to make sure and mention the future items for discussion category. Of course, because there are future items for discussion, we're not supposed to discuss them. However, I do think that we can remove the master plan matrix because it is now on the goals and objectives. I also do think we can remove the code of conduct because it is also on the goals and objectives.
I mean, so isn't creation, well, the bylaw committee, right?
Is that one on G&O? Creation of bylaw committee?
Oh, no, that's the
Government
government
study
study
Government
committee.
study.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess they could be
Hand in hand,
one and
right?
the same, they could be, yeah.
I think it's the same.
You think it's the same? Okay, so if we feel that they are similar enough, we could remove that one also. Jen, I'm hoping that you can give us an update on family committee maybe next time.
I cannot give you any update yet, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I do know that when Jennifer was speaking, she said the family center was no longer, and I don't know what that means.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
want me to try to look into it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so are we removing the first three items, is that
I
what
think we're moving the first three.
Okay.
We'll find out more about number 4 because they do have a budget this year and I know they moved some money to support summer reading t-shirts, so. Okay. And then the other items, I just want to get an idea of when we want to see these onto an agenda. Streamlining town committees, Nicole, it was one of your initiatives.
Yeah.
We got rid of one tonight.
Yep, we did. Honestly, I feel like that should not be happening during budget season.
Okay. It can live in the parking lot for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay. Establish capital stabilization fund policy. I don't know what to do with that.
So, the finance office has prepared a draft of that policy as well as a budget policy. They're gonna be presented to the FinCom for recommendation to the
Oh, great.
board.
Wonderful. So we might see that come up soon.
I'd say within a month,
Great.
yeah, maybe 6 weeks tops.
Sweet.
Yeah.
One that I have here, and as soon as we have time, I would like us to get on an agenda to discuss individual select, not BARD, but board member initiatives.
Okay.
Projects and initiatives is what it should say. And then I would like us to come back to food trucks. I know John and I worked on that 100 years ago.
We have that on August 3rd.
Oh, great. Does
Tentative.
anyone have anything that they want to add to the parking lot?
So it was, for me, I think it was the invite for Cutchins program on an upcoming meeting.
And Steve might have more information with his upcoming meeting tomorrow.
The other thing I have is, I know we mentioned this before, is just invite our state legislators in front of the, just give a quick update. We can
Yeah.
question and answer. It might be a good time if they can
You
come
know
to
what, I
Pine
think
Valley
you'd,
Day.
Yeah.
that's it, that's our
That
sweet spot
fall
right
off.
there.
We've been waiting for that forever.
To have the legislative visit,
Yeah,
it's been,
been
almost 2.5 years.
yeah.
Do you think they would come to Pine Valley? If the date works for them?
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing.
I'm just curious.
I think that would be more appealing, because then they get multiple
Yeah.
groups of people. It's a good idea.
Okay.
Anybody else, anything else you want to see in the parking lot? Okay. All right, then are there any questions from the press? Okay, so we need to move into executive session.
I move to enter into executive session, not to return to open session. Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Subsection 2, to conduct strategy session preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. If the police chief contract.
Second.
All right, any discussion? There shouldn't be. All those in favor?